Yo guys, what's up? I'm gonna be reviewing a video by GojiMan, 10 reasons carnivore keto will die in 2025. GojiMan and I go way back. I didn't even know that he's still making videos. He made a video many years ago where he was sitting at the beach wearing these very thick sunglasses to cover up his eczema, but you could still see this very thick red eczema crust, especially on one side by his eyebrow. I made a video, and a small part of the video was about him, and I pointed out how he has the eczema here. He then made a response to it, saying that it's a sunburn. It made no sense whatsoever because it was very obvious eczema. Everybody was making fun of him. I'm sure that he lost some clients also. He then made another response to it, saying that he's gonna get my channel banned because I essentially ruined his reputation. The way he got his clients back then, I don't know if he still does this, is by them sending him their stool. It was all of these vegans who had gut problems. He then analyzed their stool and diagnosed them with whatever gut problems they had. As we know, vegans have a lot of gut problems because of their diet. It didn't make much sense because eczema is usually caused by a damaged gut. How could he then heal other people if he can't even deal with his own gut problems? It's obvious why he was afraid of me putting a crack into his reputation. As far as this video goes, the only way that you're gonna stop the so-called carnivore diet is by banning meat, which is gonna happen eventually. Hopefully not in 2025.
The carnivore diet, just meat, salt and water. It's been hyped as the ultimate way to lose weight.
Meat, salt and water. Is that really what they promote? That's pretty bad. If it was raw meat, you could hydrate yourself, but the salt and the water is really going to dehydrate you like crazy.
Boost energy and simplify eating. But here's the thing, it's not going to last. In fact, 2025 might just be the year that it dies for good. Why? Well, here are 10 reasons the carnivore diet is doomed, and
I gotta say, really, without trying to offend him, he looks as bad as never before. If you told me that I'm reviewing a guy on chemotherapy, I wouldn't even question it. I would just feel bad for him, and I do. He looks very sick, very frail and pale.
You won't believe how obvious some of them are. Roll the titles.
And just zero energy. Back in the day it was roll the titles. Now it's roll the titles. What was always also with this music? You're just some British guy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, just a quick reminder that I'm now...
Hey. Aren't those the sunglasses he was wearing back then to cover up the eczema? I swear. And it's completely over the eyebrow. Funny guy. I guess that they slipped in the video.
now offering the SIBO organic acids.
Oh, he still does that. Still after all of these years. Wow, that's crazy. That vegans actually fall for it. Still. It's your vegan diet. You're eating indigestible toxic plants. Stop them, go on the carnivore diet, and all of your gut problems will be fixed.
Still test and consult via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video. Number 10, the ghosts of diets past. History repeats itself.
The main reason I would take bloody fucking advice from you is because you have so much energy in it. Proper British energy. You're just vibrating with health, just the way you talk already.
Have you ever wondered why diets like the Atkins or the South Beach diet skyrocketed in popularity, only to crash just as fast? History has a funny way of repeating itself, and the carnivore diet is no exception. Back in the early 2000s, Atkins was the big thing, low carb, high protein, and everywhere you looked, people were swearing it was the future. But what happened? The same thing that happens to every extreme diet. People realised it's not sustainable. The carnivore diet is walking the same path, just with more steak. Fad diets create a buzz, they peak.
He's technically right that these diets, which are all man-made, come and go, of course. Because there's only one way that an animal is supposed to eat naturally, which is raw meat for humans, and whatever else they can find. some kind of fruits, honey, maybe now and then, seasonally. These diets such as Atkins, even the carnivore diet with their overcooked meat and salt and water, yeah, those are all man-made. It's possible that they will also go away eventually, because at the end of the day, no man-made diet is sustainable. Only what you're naturally supposed to eat is sustainable.
And then they fizzle out when real life kicks in. If Atkins couldn't survive with more flexibility than the carnivore diet, what chance does this all-meat plan have? But if history isn't convincing enough, let's talk about something that hits even harder, your wallet. Number 9, meat, the price you pay. Think eating only meat saves money because you're cutting out things like processed foods? Think again. In the UK, for example, the average price for quality beef can be around £12 to £15 per kilogram. Add in chicken, lamb and fatty cuts to keep up with the high fat requirements, and suddenly you're spending anywhere from £200, £300 or even £400 a month just on yourself.
The fatty cuts are actually cheaper, and you can actually get fat for free from a lot of butchers, seeing as they throw it out anyway. The thing though is that wouldn't you as a vegan think, if meat is so expensive, it means that they don't want us to eat it. That would be my number one conclusion, that it's something that they want to be hidden. If grains, rice, and whatever you guys see, it would be more expensive, then you could say, oh wow, they are making the super healthy food expensive. But if the meat is getting more expensive, wouldn't the normal conclusion be that it's what we are supposed to eat?
And that's if you're okay with cheaper cuts. If you're aiming for grass-fed, organic or specialty meats, that cost skyrockets. Compare that to a balanced diet with grains, vegetables and legumes, and it's clear the carnivore diet isn't just restrictive on your plate, it's restrictive on your bank account. But the cost isn't just financial, it's the cost that you pay with your health. Now,
to be fair, you can buy pretty good, affordable organs, liver, brain and whatnot from a butcher compared to the muscle meat. Heart, for example, instead of just eating some muscle meat cuts, that way you can save a lot of money if you don't have a lot.
Number 8, the Quitters Club, why even the devout are dropping out. So many people jump into the carnivore diet claiming it's life-changing. But fast forward 6 months and many of these are quitting. But why?
Yeah, because you're eating overcooked meat with salt and water. It's unsustainable, obviously, especially if you don't eat organs. If you would also eat organs, you could pull it off for longer. But such a zero-carb keto diet cannot be pulled off for that long. There's nothing strange about it. It's a restrictive diet, similar to a vegan diet.
It's not just because they miss potatoes and bread. The truth is it's unsustainable. Your body needs a variety of nutrients, and while the short-term benefits might feel great, long-term carnivore followers are...
What nutrients are there in plants that we cannot get from meat? He can't even name anything, obviously.
Reporting serious health issues such as high cholesterol, heart problems and even strokes. A quick online search reveals
there's many vegans who had heart disease, strokes and whatnot. What does that prove exactly? You would have to eat a certain way from birth, and look at what else they do, such as exercise. Sean Baker's probably eventually gonna drop dead from heart disease or a stroke or who knows what, because of how much he exercises, and everybody's going to blame it on the diet.
Story after story of people experiencing chest pains, extreme fatigue and mental health struggles.
Where are all of these people? Oh.
Sure, some die-hard fans will defend it to the end, but the growing number of ex-carnivores speaking out tells a different story. But beyond health, there's another question. How do you survive on a diet that's missing half of what your body needs? Number 7, where are the
Oh, okay, the nutritional hole. Oh, okay, we'll see what he says.
Vitamins, the nutritional black hole. Imagine cutting out fruits, vegetables, grains and legumes, basically every natural source of fibre, vitamins and minerals.
What? Seeds are not a natural source of anything, seeing as it's not natural food. You must know that the vegetables that you eat also don't exist in nature. You could only argue about the fruits, which have hardly any vitamins, essentially only vitamin C, but even the fruits are for the most part man-made. So why use the word natural? You're lying completely here.
Can a diet like that really keep you healthy? The short answer, no. Vitamin C deficiency, check. Fiber deficiency, double check.
Fiber deficiency! Oh my fucking god, man. This guy is just a comedian. Fiber deficiency. I've never heard of this before. How can you say that fiber is literally only the indigestible part of the plant? That's it. It's just nothing else. How can you be deficient in the indigestible part of a plant, such as cellulose? How could you be deficient in that? If you can be deficient in it, it would mean that we would naturally have cellulose inside of us, in our cells, which we would then need to get from plants, but we don't. We don't have fiber inside of us. And the vitamin C is not DHAA, which is the animal version, so that has to be converted anyway in humans firstly. Real vitamin C you can get from liver, for example.
Even with organ meats, it's nearly impossible to meet all of your nutritional needs. Over time...
Yeah, but which ones? You literally only named one vitamin, vitamin C, which is still found in organs, and it's the animal version, as I said, the real one, which we need. So what do you mean? Didn't he say that you can't get half of what you need? Where is the half? You only named one vitamin, which is found in meat. Makes no sense.
This leads to fatigue, weak immunity, and digestive.
By the way, I should also add that all of this, which he actually suffers from, that vitamin C is for the most part used to metabolize glucose, any kind of sugar that you consume. Therefore, you don't even need a lot of vitamin C if you're not eating a high carb diet anyway. I don't promote eating a zero carb diet, although I do believe that for the most part, most of the year we should be eating a low carb diet.
Issues. People love to claim our ancestors thrived on meat, but guess what? Our ancestors also didn't live past 40. Modern science...
Who didn't live past 40? Name anybody. Everybody, even 100 years ago, had way longer lifespans than we do now. There's no recorded case of a human ever living to 40. Literally zero. He couldn't name anything.
Tells us what we didn't know back then. You need more than just meat to thrive. And speaking of science, number 6, science strikes back. The data doesn't lie. At first, the carnivore diet seemed like it defied logic. People were losing weight, feeling energetic, and claiming it was the ultimate biohack.
Yeah, because they were not spiking their insulin all the time, making them gain weight. Totally understandable.
But as more research comes in, the cracks are showing. Studies now link high meat consumption to increased risk of heart disease, colon cancer, and kidney issues. Saturated fats and cholesterol, not your friends in the long run. The science...
Link it. And he talks about science. Science has to be testable and repeatable. A link, a correlation, is anti-science. It can never be tested or repeated, seeing as it's purely based on a belief. You have some population that eats a lot of meat or even only meat, and then you try to link it to something. It's not science.
Number 5, social media burnout. The carnivore echo chamber collapses. Remember when your feed was flooded with influencers preaching the gospel of steak and liver? Where are they now? Many of the loudest voices have quietly pivoted or disappeared altogether. And why? Because the hype cycle is real. Social media thrives on trends, and once the novelty wears off...
He does have a point, because diets are seen as trends nowadays. For the most part, people hop on them, and then they later hop off the bandwagon, seeing as all that they want to do is belong. There's even people who eat a little bit of raw meat, not actually fully naturally, just some muscle meat, and then they stop after a while, because they never actually ate naturally, really. Because when you actually eat naturally, and you eat a lot of organs, and especially if you drink blood, you feel as good as never before. You cannot even get off that, because once you do, you feel so bad in comparison. The state that you are in right now, if you're not eating that way, is so much worse than the way you could be feeling, but you just have no idea of how you're naturally supposed to feel. But once you do, there's no going back. But yeah, if you eat some ground meat here and there, it's not really gonna do much. Like the girl that I reviewed, Ashley English or whatever her name is, she eats tons of bread, but also some raw meat here and there. It doesn't really do that much. She will never actually feel how you're supposed to feel. And yeah, those kind of people will come and go, of course.
Plus, when influencers start facing the same health issues as their followers, it's hard to keep preaching the benefits of an unsustainable diet. But beyond losing followers, there's a personal cost to living this way.
He's literally describing everything that happened to veganism.
Number 4, the mental health toll, mood swings, depression and anxiety. Cutting out carbs doesn't just affect your waistline, it affects your brain. Carbohydrates help regulate the feel-good hormones. Without them, people report mood swings, anxiety and even depression. Sure, the initial carnivore high feels great, but as time goes on, those good vibes crash hard. There's a reason why humans naturally crave a variety of foods. Our brains need balance just as much as our bodies do. But if mental health concerns aren't enough, what about the planet? Number 3,
to be fair, he's somewhat right, because as I said, carnivores do restrict themselves. They follow this religion. A lot of them used to be vegans and now they follow the fake carnivore diet. It doesn't really have much to do with what you're naturally supposed to eat. They just have this religious mindset where they need to restrict themselves and do exactly what they are told.
Livestock farming is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emission, deforestation and water consumption. As more people become aware of the environmental impact of their food choices, the idea of eating only meat feels not only outdated, but also irresponsible. But
it's obviously all been debunked. I even made videos debunking it, but this is probably one of the reasons that they will use to ban meat eventually.
Even if you don't care about the environment, there's one problem that every carnivore faces, and it's impossible to ignore. Number 2, food fatigue, the monotony of meat. Imagine eating steak, then more steak, then more steak. Sounds great for the first week, maybe even for the first month, but after that, boredom hits hard. Food isn't just fuel, it's culture, variety and joy. Humans are wired to enjoy diverse flavours and textures. The carnivore diet strips that away, leaving you with the same repetitive meals day after day.
He's a little bit right about that, but again, that's why this fake carnivore diet also is not going to work out, because eating only steaks all the time, some people seem to be able to do that, but if you would be eating the whole animal, you would be getting a lot of different tastes, because animals have all kinds of tastes in the organs, the blood, glands. This is something that most of the fake carnivores don't even get to taste.
Eventually, even the most dedicated carnivores will hit a wall. But beyond boredom, the biggest reason this diet will die in 2025 is simple. It's following the same exact script as every failed diet before it. Number 1, the inevitable truth. Fad diets always fail. What do all fad diets have in common? They promise quick fixes, extreme results, and revolutionary health benefits, and they all fail. The carnivore diet...
That's literally what vegans always say.
...isn't special, it's just the latest in a long line of miracle diets destined to fade. People get excited, they try it, and then they realise it's unsustainable, and they move on.
It was a pretty horrible video, but I wasn't expecting anything else. A lot of lies, talks about nutrients, can't even name anything except for vitamin C and fiber, which is not even a nutrient. It's so strange, right? Because you make a video, you really want to make a point as a vegan, or even if you wouldn't be following a vegan diet, if you want to talk against meat somehow or raw meat, and then you think nutrients, oh, you leave this big gap in your nutrients. I think that he said that half of the nutrients are missing essentially. At least he was trying to imply that. It leaves this big hole. And then you think, you make a video, a script for the video, you only write down vitamin C, and then you say it out loud, and it still doesn't tick in your head. A normal, sane human being would say out loud that you're missing only vitamin C, which is still found in meat, just in lower amounts. And as I said, that's because you don't need much of it. And it's the animal version anyway, in animals. From the plants, you will need to convert it. That's something that we cannot even do anyway. That's a different topic. And then, of course, something should light up in your brain if it would actually be functioning. That's the problem with vegans. It doesn't function. Something in you should say, wait, I can only write down vitamin C, which is found in meat anyway. And then something is wrong with my video, right? Because that means that nothing is missing. And there's over 15 micronutrients which are not found in plants at all. And that's a big hole, right? It's the other way around. And he's trying to spin it as if it's the other way around, that the carnivore diet, which again, I don't even promote, is missing all of these nutrients. The carnivore diet may make you deficient in B vitamins if you really overcook the meat, seeing as it destroys the water-soluble vitamins. If you eat raw meat, and especially organs, and no way you're going to be as nourished as you possibly can be. Raw organs are the most nutritious foods on this earth. Everybody knows that. If they at least look into it. He for sure knows that. So for him to say that it's going to leave some big hole in your health, your nutrition, is absolutely laughable. And he knows this, that it's a fad. Yeah, technically it is the cooked salt water diet. It's probably going to die out, of course. You just don't see people who eat raw meat actually go from that to whatever, a vegan diet or whatever kind of diet, as long as they don't eat a restrictive diet. Those are always the people who quit when they religiously believe, I need to eat specifically this, because this human being online is telling me to eat this, or you read some book. As long as you literally listen to your body and eat what you want to eat, you eat raw meat, it tastes amazing, you get all the nutrients, you feel euphoric from it, but then if you want sugar, you eat some fruits, honey also. Why would you quit that? No reason to. Thanks for watching.